In Valorant, the agent Viper has all the capability to hard carry games with her insanely high impact abilities that can block enemy LOS and set up tons of scenarios where you have a seemingly unfair advantage. Viper is cementing herself as one of the best characters in all of Valorant that every team should have. All that being said, let's break down each and every one of her abilities and give you tips and tricks so that you can start dominating Valorant right away. If you like Valorant content here at Gamely, we're going to be doing daily uploads from now on, so do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right now. We got no time to waste, so let's just jump right into it, shall we? Now let's kick it right off with Viper's first ability, her signature Toxic Screen. Now, Toxic Screen is an ability that you're going to get every single round. It has a cooldown, but not in the traditional sense. Let me explain. Viper's Toxic Screen will go out in a straight line. You'll be able to line it up with your minimap on the left and see exactly how far it will go. It is an insanely long distance, and Viper throws these little nodes onto the ground. Then, when she activates Toxic Screen, it rises up a wall of toxic gas. Here's the real kicker. Toxic Screen can be turned off and on a whim. There is a 4-second cooldown, so you can't just spam it off and on. But as long as you have her fuel tank meter and you have fuel in the tank, you can turn on her Toxic Screen at any time. This gives you the versatility to throw up a wall when you want it and put it down when it's going to hurt your teammates when you're trying to push or retreat or any other scenario. Unlike other heroes that have a form of LOS blocking abilities, such as a smoke or a flame wall, Viper gets to re-put up her wall multiple times in the fight and take it down whenever she wants, meaning that it's far and away the best LOS blocking ability in my mind. On top of this, if enemies walk in and through the Toxic Screen, it will do decay damage, which starts to lower their health and armor, but they will replenish their health and armor as long as they get out of your Toxic Screen, but it really dissuades people from being in your Toxic Screen. It won't kill them, it will leave them at 1 HP and 1 armor if they go all the way that low, but it's still doing a lot of damage. Now, I mentioned that there are disadvantages to Toxic Screen, and from what I could see, there's only one true disadvantage, and that's once you place it down, you cannot relocate it, and you're not going to get another one throughout the round. That means if you're playing defense or if you try to make a play on attack on one point and then you have to later rotate, you're not going to be able to have your Toxic Screen. So that's something really important. Sometimes it's better to save your Toxic Screen for the mid fight, or you need to understand that if you rotate, you're not going to be able to use this ability later on. So really think about that. And that is where Viper could be kind of weak, because Toxic Screen is one of her best abilities at taking a point or holding a point. And if you don't have it later on, if you have to rotate later on, then you could really set yourself up for failure. Now let's talk about the next ability on our list, her Snake Bite. Now, Snake Bite's nothing flashy. It has 2 charges, and it fires a projectile that throws acid on the ground that slows and damages enemies. This is an ability that is rebranded on a lot of different heroes. Essentially, what Snake Bite really does is it can stop players from pushing in, it can stop players from retreating, it can get people out of hidey holes. If you know they're behind a natural cover or you know they're in a cubby, you can check and force them out, flush them out. It's versatile in that way. I don't think it's that flashy or that powerful in comparison to a lot of other abilities. It's kind of the same thing as you see with Phoenix's Fireball, and other characters have similar abilities, but it definitely has a place in your kit, and it can definitely get a lot of value, especially when we talk about her ultimate later on. Now let's talk about her third ability before we get to the ultimate, and it's Viper's Poison Cloud. Now, Poison Cloud shares a lot of similarities with her Toxic Screen. It's a throwable grenade that can be activated whenever you want to basically make a ball of smoke. It's not a straight line of smoke like the Toxic Screen, but it does a smoke impression just like you would see a sky smoke from Brimstone. The cool thing about Poison Cloud is not only can it be activated and deactivated whenever you want, just like the Toxic Screen can, but it can actually be picked up and thrown. So unlike the Toxic Screen, it can be reused and you can throw it in one location, use it, and then if you want to rotate, you can always pick it back up, go back to the other location, reuse it. It's really cool in that way. Something that's important to know is that Poison Cloud, as long as it's up, it uses that fuel tank that we talked about before. So if you stack Poison Cloud and Toxic Screen at the same time, you're going to use double as much fuel and your fuel tank's going to die out extremely fast. Something that you need to keep in mind. While yes, your fuel tank will regenerate over time, if you only have one of these 2 up, the ability is going to last for far longer. Now, Poison Cloud also decays enemies, like I said before, but something important about decay that I didn't mention before is that Viper's immune. That means she can play alongside her poison and inner poison, and it's a niche thing, but it can definitely come up in a lot of situations, especially when we talk about her ultimate, which I'm transitioning to right now, her Viper Pit. Now, this ultimate might be one of the best ultimates in the entire game. In fact, I'm going to say it is in regards to actually planting spikes. If you are trying to plant spikes, Viper's Pit is so good for that, and let me really explain what I mean. What Viper Pit does is it creates a huge cloud, and I'm talking gigantic. And when you are in that cloud, it blocks LOS from the outside. And if people are in that cloud, they have very reduced LOS of line of sight unless they're pretty close to enemies. While you're in it, you get to see highlighted enemies, which means it's a lot easier for you to see them than it is for them to see you. They're entering your pit. On top of that, it reduces an enemy's max health, and they take the same toxic damage that we talked about before, while Viper is immune. So if anyone wants to go into the pit, they're gonna have a lot of problems. And here's the insane part about this ultimate, in my opinion: it will never go away as long as Viper's in it. If Viper leaves, there's a little ticking meter that says she has to get back into her ultimate or it will get canceled. But if she never leaves her ultimate, or she gets back in before that time runs out, the ultimate will stay, and the ultimate will indefinitely stay. That is what's so powerful about Viper's Pit, but keep in mind, the toxicity and the LOS blocking, all those things also hurt your teammates, so you gotta really think about how you're gonna help your teammates as well when you use this ability. Now, there are counters to this, and I'm gonna break down a couple of them here. Grenades that do AoE damage, explosive rocket launchers, like from Ray's or Brimstone's ult that can literally just nuke the entire area. The fact is, enemies know for a fact that you're in there as long as it stays up for a certain amount of time, because that's the only way that it stays up. So, while yes, it's extremely powerful and it can take zone control space, it does give your opponents information about where you are, which can be abused by them, so definitely look out for that. So all in all, after talking about every ability, do I think that you should main Viper as a character? Well, it really depends on your playstyle, and let me talk about some of the things that Viper's extremely good at, and you can decide for yourself. The thing that Viper is undoubtedly the best at is being a spike planter. The fact that she can control 2 of her smoke-based abilities that block enemy LOS, prevent them from pushing in, while she can push in herself, she can take them down and up whenever she wants to, and she can use them multiple times when enemies are pushing or disengaging or all these things, means that she brings a lot to the table when she's trying to push a point. But even more than that, her ultimate is incredible for capping a point. If you pit an enemy point, it can cover the whole spike planting area. That means that you as Viper could sneak to any side of it, plant the spike, and set up in a position to guard it, and if enemies want to go defuse it, they could easily go and walk up to the spike, and you could be really close to them, and they don't even know you're there. The second they start defusing, you pop out, you kill them, and between the fact that they're taking toxic damage, and the fact that you could throw snake bites around your Viper pit, means that it's really a nightmare. If enemies want to try to push into that, they are just going to be extremely horrified, and they're probably going to die, and they know that it gives you such an unfair advantage. I mean, realistically, you could easily 1v2 or 1v3 if you're in a Viper pit and enemies are pushing into you blind. On top of that, I think the skill ceiling on this hero is pretty high. I've already seen really cool pushes on attack. Well, Vipers will set up a poison cloud, walk into their poison cloud, ult the enemy point, and the ultimate stretches so far they can actually get extremely close or in spike planting zone, plant a spike, and force the enemies to come back, but they have to play right into your ultimate Viper pit, which, like I said before, if you don't have one of those abilities that can punish her, one of those giant AoE abilities that can really punish her for staying in her toxic cloud, you're gonna have a nightmare pushing a Viper. So, all in all, I think that Viper is probably going to be a necessary character in every single team. I mean, she just brings so much to the table, especially on attack. She is the best spike planter, I think, out of every character we've seen so far. And if you want to be the spike planter, if you want to be the playmaker, if you want to set up all these scenarios where you have a extremely unfair advantage, well, you have the potential to 1v3 with ease because enemies are forced to play into your kit, definitely pick up Viper. I think you're gonna love her. And if you love Valorant content, here at Game Loop, we're gonna be pumping out tons of Valorant educational content. So if you want to get the leg up on your competition, do yourself a favor and smash that subscribe button right now. Anyways, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below. If you want any videos to come out soon, or you want us to make any videos, definitely let us know and we'll jump right on it. That's all we have for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time,